So we do have some breaking news we're following right now because there are emergency crews in New York City. They're responding to reports of some type of possible explosion. We understand that it's near the Port Authority bus terminal, which obviously is heavily trafficked. It's one of the major endpoints of all commuters coming in on a Monday morning. Officials say this happened at 42nd Street and 8th Avenue, an extremely busy area.
Right, we're trying to get some reporting now. There's been a lot of confusion over this. It was described by some reports as a big event. That is not the word that's coming out of the state government about it. There was a device that was found. We don't know yet if this went off, if there were injuries, if this went off when it was trying to be diffused. We do know what you see. There's a heavy police presence there. The head of the MTA is on the scene. People are being urged to stay away from the area. As soon as we get information that we can verify, you will get it. One
more thing. We don't know of any injuries, none that have been reported, at least publicly. So at this moment, there's not a lot we know other than it appears that 42nd and 8th is basically at a standstill with all of those emergency vehicles there, because if there were to have been an explosion at Port Authority, that would be obviously very scary. It would be huge for a Monday morning commute, but all we know is that there is a device that is suspicious of some kind.
Now, so how do you explain the inconsistency between, if it's not that big a deal, why is there so much stoppage? Because they have a sweep area. So what happens is, as soon as they find a device, this is all going on below ground, right? So even though they're above ground, that's obviously where they had to park their vehicles. They have a sweep area that is far more extensive than where they found the device, because they go on the assumption that if they found one, there may be others. So what you have is massive amounts of crews flying around right now looking for similar packaging to that which they found this reported pipe bomb.
We're hearing two separate things. So the NYPD believes and confirms that there was an explosion, whereas the governor's office does not know but confirms that there is a device but is not confirming the explosion. So obviously these are very early minutes. Clearly something is happening that is happening down there, and this affects, I can't begin to tell you the ripple effect that this has throughout all of New York in terms of this being the major hub on a Monday morning.
Right. Just to be clear, what we're hearing right now is a range of reports. Something happened. Some type of explosion happened. There may have been injured. There may even have been a fatality. The reports are out there. We do not have them confirmed. The Port Authority is a very tough place to secure. It is a tough place to investigate. What is it? It is primarily a bus terminal, but it is an intersection of all kinds of local and regional buses, subway, and trains and path trains that go above ground as well. So it's a really big and intricate place, and if they have to search all the different vulnerabilities for explosions, for explosive devices, it's going to take a while. But again, this is not nothing. They at least found a device that is forcing them to have to do a massive sweep of this area around the Port Authority in Manhattan, there in the Midtown west side of Manhattan, and there are reports that there was a human cost here. So we're going to have to stay on it and get you confirmed information.
And this is an interesting target, right, Chris, because it's a soft target in that it's very hard to secure, as you say. However,
you don't have TSA going in and out of a place like this.
That's right. Great point. However, obviously, in recent years and times, there have been a big beefed up security presence. When I go through any of these, either Grand Central or Port Authority, you see armed guards and people patrolling. They're obviously always on the lookout for anything suspicious, but they can't do everything. They can't cover every square inch.
They can't do much, and you don't have enough egress out of that place. It is certainly a target of opportunity. That's why the See Something, Say Something campaign is so important in cities like New York City. But again, there are reports that what you're seeing on your screen is a reflection of urgency in New York City. They are looking for more explosive devices. There are reports that one, maybe more explosive devices were found at the Port Authority in New York City. There are reports that there was a human cost here. We are not sure what that means. We're waiting for confirmation. We're also waiting to get somebody on the phone. Do we have anybody yet to discuss this?
Okay, so if you're just tuning in, there is a breaking news unfolding. This is in Midtown Manhattan. This is at the Port Authority. This is the major bus terminal, as well as subways and a couple of path trains that come in. This is how commuters, one of the places that commuters come in from the outer states and boroughs in on a Monday morning to work. So it couldn't be a busier time at 8 a.m. on a Monday morning in Port Authority. So something has happened there. There was an explosive device found, and we are trying to determine if, in fact, it went off.
One, maybe more, may have been a human cost. We have Dave Foote. He works with CNN. He was actually there on scene, witnessed some of the events. Dave, can you hear me?
I got you, Chris.
All right, are you good?
I'm good. We were in the, I was in the Port Authority. It was one of the last buses in before they started evacuating us. I was coming down the stairs of the Port Authority. They started making the announcement. Sorry, it's a little loud here. So, a lot of ambulances.
What did you see? What did you hear?
It was mostly a very organized evacuation of the Port Authority. All the activity seems to be underground. There's no visible signs of anything happening in the Port Authority. No smoke or anything like that. So it was an orderly evacuation of the Port Authority. But right now, the entire area is just, I mean, there's dozens of ambulances in the area. I'm sure that's probably normal for some sort of a, type of call like this. But they're really evacuating the area, and it goes all the way back towards the Times Square area. So traffic is obviously backed up. It's hard to get around.
Well, look, they have a straight protocol, as you know, about what they bring to the scene. It is not supposed to be as heavy as it is if nothing happened. That's why we're hearing, I don't know what you were able to pick up on because you've been doing your morning commute, but there is strong suggestion and reporting that they found something, maybe more than one device. There's a question as to whether or not it detonated before they got to it or was part of diffusing it. And there are reports that there may be a human toll here. We don't know what that means in terms of injuries or even worse. We're waiting on that. Did you see any sign? Did you smell anything? Did anybody say anything to you there?
I didn't smell anything, but yes, people did hear an explosion underground. I did when I was walking towards Times Square because they kind of had to maneuver us around a little bit. We definitely heard people talking about it. And what's interesting now, Chris, is when you look up towards 49th Street, there's more activity up there, which taking that subway line, which I would have been getting on to go to the office right now on the A train, that's kind of where the northern part of that station would land.
Right.
So,
all right, so Dave,
the trains are kind of long. So the end is towards the Port Authority, and then the northern part would be towards, the 47th Street, 48th Street area. So that whole corridor is shut down.
All right, Dave, keep yourself safe. Get to work. This is obviously more than just a normal SNAP protocol for an alert. We have another producer on the phone, so let's get to that.
Yeah, Shimon Prokupez is on the phone right now with what he's hearing from his sources. Shimon, what have you learned?
Hey, Allison, good morning. So basically, what we're being told is one person is in custody. Police believe that this was some kind of a pipe bomb, we're told, and at least initially that's what it appears to be, and that it looks like it went off unintentionally or prematurely is how they're also describing it, that this wasn't the intended target, that this wasn't supposed to go off at the location it did, and that it went off. The person who was carrying, the person who's in custody is injured. It's unclear if anyone else is injured, and we don't know who the person is yet. The police have not identified the person that they've taken into custody. But it appears that there's only, at least right now, one injury, and doesn't seem like there are a whole lot of other injuries, or at least any other serious injuries.
Okay, so Shimon, it's you're reporting that there was in fact an explosion. That's what police are telling you. There was in fact an explosion, but it doesn't sound as though it was huge enough, at least what they're sharing with you, to cause injuries. And what makes them think it wasn't the intended target?
That's a good question. I don't know, Allison, but it for whatever, based on whatever information they have right now, they don't believe that this was the location where this pipe bomb was supposed to go off, and that the person was in transit, and that it appears, at least right now, that it went off unintentionally.
Any type of injuries? Anything worse?
No, it only appears that this one person right now. Maybe there's one other injury, perhaps maybe people who were running from the scene were injured, but I have not heard of any serious or any deaths, at least at this point.
Shimon, have they shared with you where exactly this detonated?
No, it sounds so. I've heard two different locations, either on one of the platforms or somewhere near one of the subway entrances, near, as you've been reporting, by the bus terminal. But I don't have an exact location.
All right. Now, in terms of this response, Shimon, I've been telling people this is not a normal, hey, we have an alert of something we need to investigate. There is a massive response effort going on right now around the Port Authority. There's several blocks that are closed off, and obviously we know they're controlling movement underground as well. What are you hearing about in terms of the severity of the threat level and how seriously they're taking it?
Oh, the security, as you know, around the city is already pretty much tight. It's the holiday season. This is our high season here in New York with the holidays. So, and there's a ton of security around Times Square already. But yeah, the response here is large because, as anything right now, they would treat this early on as possibly a terror attack, just because that's how the NYPD deals with these situations. So you're seeing a lot of heavily armed police officers. They're a tactical group. They're counterterrorism guys just running there, and they're all on the scene now, and as well as the fire department and the bomb squad. And I know that the bomb squad was responding because I think the device was still active on the person, so they were responding to try and figure out what it is. But the response is no doubt massive, as you would expect, especially in this area around Times Square, which is so busy, so busy, especially with the holidays. And this is early. This is rush hour. People are just getting to offices around the area. So no doubt the response is massive.
All right, Shimon, appreciate it, buddy. Keep us in the loop on what you're hearing. Again, just to remind everybody why you're seeing pictures of the flashing red and blue on your screen. In New York City, at the Port Authority, which is a massive terminal for buses and train fare in the west side of Manhattan, there are reports that there was an explosive device. We're not told that it was a massive device. There are not reports of massive injuries or anything worse yet. We do know that there is a man in custody, according to Shimon Prokupez. That's what the NYPD is telling us. The response is much larger than normal. They've cordoned off several blocks, and they are searching actively underground. It is a massive area. So that's what we know. Bryn Gingras is with us.
Bryn Gingras, she's on set with us right here. Hard to underscore just how busy and chaotic this scene could be on a Monday morning as commuters flow in. What are your sources telling you about